it's Lisa. I have a whole odd assortment of things on my table today. I'm working on this page that has 4 photos, long and narrow photos. They're 2 inches by 4 inches. You're going to go down in a sort of zigzag strip, and then I have a large piece of paper behind that, title and journaling, and you know, all the main components for the layout. One thing I'd like to have on this layout are some feathers, but I don't have any. I'm going up to my mother's later today, weather permitting. We're having bad weather here in the south, and that means that we just stay home and don't try to go anywhere since we can't drive in it. But if I can get up there, I'm going, and she probably has some feathers that I could use. Because this is actually partially about my mother. We go shopping at least once a year to this consignment store in our area, and I love to shop there because you get such great buys, especially right after the first of the year when they put all their winter stuff on sale. I got 6 things for under $30. I got 6 things for about $35 last year. Worn them all, or I've worn all my winter stuff so far, and I just really love shopping there because somebody else has gone to the boutiques and traveled and got all this great stuff, and it's accumulated now close to me, and I don't have to go out and hunt it down except in one store. That's my kind of shopping. So I took some photos of some of the outfits I put together with the things that I bought. And I also took the photo of this mother trying on this coat in the store. Now this coat was way over that price range. It was hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and she tried it on more just to see what it looked like because it's her kind of thing. She says nowhere to wear it, and she wasn't going to spend that kind of money to buy it. So it was more of a fun thing to do. But she did make some purchases, some very practical purchases. But it was a lot of fun clothes and a good day together that we had shopping. Now in my sketch I have this big area in the back. What I want to use there is one of my new Gelli prints. A Gelli print is made with a Gelli printing plate, and I've already done my prints. I will have videos later on using the Gelli plate. There are a lot of videos out there that show you how to use the Gelli plate if you're interested. This is what the label looks like on the outside of the package, and then it's the Gelli print. The Gelli plate is this gel pad, for lack of a better word, and they come in lots of different sizes. They're somewhat flexible, but you lay them out flat on a flat surface. You apply paint to them, and then you can use various tools to pull up some of the paint, or you can lay stencils down on top of them, and then press your paper face side down onto the Gelli plate and pull it up, and you get various designs. Now these 2 that I have here as samples, or as ones I'm going to use on my one or the other on my layout, are ones that I did several passes through. I did several prints. So I might have done the beige in the background first, and then gone over it with the purple, and then the red, or then the blue. I don't know. And you can do more than one color at a time. But I did probably 4 passes on each of these to get the colors. Now I could no more duplicate any one of these than I could fly, because when you're doing this, a lot of it is experimental, a lot of it is just a surprise when you pull the paper up, or at least it is to me. Now that's one of the reasons why videos will be coming along later, because I'm still learning. This was one of the ones I did very early on. I didn't have a project in mind when I did this. It just came out neat, and when I started looking at the photos, I realized that it worked really well with my photos. This one, I attempted to get something very much like this, except I wanted beige in the background instead of all that green, and I got pretty close, but it's still not, you know, the same. It's not going to ever look quite the same when you do multiples of these. This piece of paper is one where you use a brayer to put your paint on, and where you just roll the paint off onto scrap paper, and I really liked how this one came out with some leftover paint from this one, and I thought I might use a strip of this, because what's really fun about the Gelli plates I'm discovering is not the full pieces of paper always, but a lot of times what you cut them up and do with them. So I've been playing with it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm just starting to take the things that I've created and use some of them. Now some of them will probably never get used, because as I say, you don't always know what you're going to get when they come off the Gelli plate, but I'll talk more about it when I do the videos. So anyway, if you're interested in that, it's by Gelli Arts, and there's gobs of videos out there. As I say, I'll have some more coming along. Now I also have some fabric in front of me. I used to make window treatments up until a couple of years ago, and I have all these discontinued sample books. So I went through just a couple of them, and found some fabrics that matched the colors for my layout. I want to take those and create some embellishments too, and as I say, if I can get some feathers, I'm going to work those in. So we're going to have a lot of weird stuff on this page, but it goes with the theme of the page of finding, for me, unique fashions. Now this red sweater is a Jones New York sweater. It still had the original tags on it, and I got it for $7.50. But there's nothing, really unusual about it, but it's not the kind of thing that I come across every day, nor this sweater or this pretty skirt. These are the kinds of things that you have to go out and look for in department stores and boutiques and things that I don't do. So that's, to me, makes fashion unique, and I want my page to reflect that. So the first thing I need to do is decide between these two Gelli prints. The first one that I did that had more green, and then the one that I did that has the colors in it. They both look good with the photos. Surprisingly, the green one does, even though there's not a lot of green. But I think I like this other one because there's a purple. There's also blue that was in one of my outfits, and some red that I had on. The purple comes more from the store. The store has sort of purple as their theme. So I use that on the Gelli print, and I'm just using my sketch to measure how large a piece I need for this paper strip going across, and my title will rest on that. So I'm going to trim a little bit off the edges too, because I don't need it to be as long, and there's just sort of some extra there. So I know I want to put some ink around the edges of that Gelli print, because you do tend to end up with some white edges, or I have the 8x10 one, and I was using regular 8.5x11 paper. I trimmed it down, but there was still a little bit of white there. Now my sketch shows some additional either paper strips or trim under the photos, so I'm rummaging through my trim drawers here, and I found a brown trim that has a little bit of saddle stitching in blue that goes really well, and then I have this funky purple trim that I think will work really well. That one brown trim, I think that came off a box of candy or something. I don't even think I bought it as trim. So now we're going to work on the flower, and I'm just going to start cutting up some of these little pieces of fabric. The flower needs to be around 2 to 2.5 inches. And I'm probably starting a little big, but I can always trim them down. As I say, I have a lot of this discontinued fabric books. I probably have a lot more than I've even pulled as discontinued. So, but I hate to throw them away because I'm often coming up with projects. I've even made quilts out of discontinued fabrics. It's a lot of work because you have to pre-shrink all the stuff and all, but but I've had some fun doing that. I'm just not been in the notion to sew at all since I closed my business. I've done very, very little sewing. All right, I've got all these in little petals. I'm not sure about the blue and green. I don't know if I'm going to like that because I'm doing most of it in the darker jewel tones there. But the blue and green looks surprisingly good to me. It just needed something in the middle. So I put a button there, but I really think that it might need something gold now that I've laid it out here. And I have some brads from Stampin' Up. This is about the third time I've ordered these. They're either called vintage or antique. I can never remember. But the brads, they're a current product in their catalog, and I just love those brads. I've used them and used them and used them. But there is a gold one in there, and I think we'll use it in the middle of our design. I did cut my circle that I'm going to put this on a little bit smaller because I had the whole thing too big. And that round object I had there was I just emptied a glue dots container, and that happens to be about 2 inches, so I was kind of using it as a guide for measurement. So we'll put these on with some hot glue. And I think I have enough of them. I think what I'm going to do with that brad is actually bend the little prongs back on it rather than trying to cut them off. So I've just pulling those back with some needle nose pliers and then gluing that on the top as well. And I may add some more petals to the back. In fact, I'd do that later on. Now I'm starting to pull some of this stuff together. looking at the way the photos are going to be ordered. That coat my mother's wearing, the reason I want feathers is it had feathers on it. You can't see that very well in the picture, but it did. And I had the idea as I was laying this out that what would really look good around the edge, because it needs something sort of around the edge, is some stitching. You know, this is all about clothes and stuff, so I took it downstairs and stitched around it, because I do still stitch for my scrapbooking. And unfortunately, I do not have room in my scrap room for a sewing machine, so I have to go all the way to the basement every time I want to sew something. I did go over to my mother's, and I had more trouble finding feathers than I thought. I mean, feathers are her kind of thing, but we found some. They were actually on something that I had made for her, and we, with her permission, took them off. And I trimmed them. So always do that over a trash can. I learned the hard lesson there. And in fact, I did go to the trash can to do a little bit more trimming. Alright, note to self, never try to trim feathers unless you're over a trash can, because I'm still picking up pieces of feather here. But I'm pleased with how my page came out. It has this fun, eclectic mix of textures and patterns that I really wanted to make it kind of different, so that it symbolizes something different than my normal wardrobe is whatever I can order from Talbot's or LL Bean or Land's End. And when I go to the consignment store, I get to get some interesting, fun things that I just don't want to take the time to shop for anywhere else. So that's what I wanted my page, with 4 photos and this large piece of jelly plate printed paper to symbolize. And then I've got my old custom made flower here, and then a couple of feathers I snagged from my mother's house with her permission. Go ahead and put the date and a little October afternoon sticker. People seem to get nostalgic about things they weren't so crazy about the first time around. But I wanted to do something about you know, looking at older clothes, even though actually most of these clothes at the consignment store are not that old. So that's my page. Thank you for joining me today. If you like the page and the video, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up so YouTube will advance my channel. And if you have any questions or comments, I love to get them. So I hope you'll join me next time.